Welcome back, everyone, once again to the Vibrant Family video, where I'm here talking to Pastor Terrence Shea, our family pastor, and I'm Katy Lee of FCBC Walnut. So I noticed, PT, a very interesting background. Is that a Zoom background, or what is that?
It is definitely a Zoom background because if I was actually physically there, I would not be recording this podcast with you.
You'll be out there surfing, I know.
Yeah. No, this is from last week when my family took a vacation down to the San Diego area and we spent the week near the beach. And so this episode kind of falls into where the two of us are going to be vacationing with our families, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go on vacation next week with my family, including my granddaughter. So that's our first time going away somewhere together, all the whole family in one condo.
That sounds
I'm
fun.
looking forward to, I told them I'm just going to babysit. You guys do whatever you want.
Well, that's definitely going to be a blessing for them. And so I think today for the podcast, we just want to do something really simple, being that I'm coming back from a vacation and Katie's looking forward to one, that we want to talk about the place of rest, the place of play, the place of just being able to let your hair down somewhere intentionally and just vacation.
Well, because these days are really kind of heavy, there's just a lot of heaviness. You turn on the news, there's, news is always bad news to me, but that kind of heavy feeling. And I think God really allows us time to take that day of Sabbath and take that time of rest.
But you know what's somewhat conflicting for us sometimes is that we fight against that need. We fight against those opportunities. In fact, sometimes some of us, we might even never take any days off, or even when we do, we're still working. So why is that, Katy? Well, what is it about us that makes us not want to rest?
Well, I think because we want to be productive. We want to use our time wisely. Even going to sleep, right? I think most of us try to stay up as long as possible, get the next thing done before we go to sleep. And once we hit the bed, we're like asleep instead of just taking time at the end of the evening. I think even just our need to sleep is God's way of telling us this is the rhythm for life. He could have made us without need for sleep. We could have been, constantly awake. But I think he created that in us to force us to say, hey, there's a time to rest. There's a time to stop. There's a time to reflect. There's a time to just trust God and just go to sleep.
I think one of the biggest differences in my life between when I was young, or maybe at my children's age to now, is when I was young, I did not want to sleep at all. I felt like if I went to bed early, or if I, just didn't stay up for the fullest amount of time I can, I would miss out on something. I would be missing out on something my friends were doing, or something on TV, or something super important. But now, if I can get a nap, I will gladly take it. And I think that's a sign of maturity and wisdom right there.
That's time of old age.
That's true too.
I don't know about the maturity. It's definitely chronological age.
I'll take that back. That's fine.
But, it is true that that time of rest doesn't have to be a vacation, even just a nap. And of course, I know you had a different vacation plan, PT, and so did I. But we're no longer flying to some exotic place. But that vacation, though, even just driving, yeah, I know, but just driving somewhere locally and getting away, that's sort of that we need that kind of rhythm of rest.
Yeah, for me, it's grown over the years, but I remember it was tough in the beginning of trying to figure out, especially with young kids, what it means to take a vacation. Sometimes we're kind of distracted by maybe what a vacation is supposed to look like according to social media, or according to what is popular, or according to what seems to be the most fun. And we put so much energy into planning vacations that actually turn out not to be all that restful or all that productive in that way. But now we kind of try to do the same thing. We just go back to a similar area every year. And when we do, we intentionally try to make it out to the beach and to stay away from tech if we can, to just enjoy our time with each other. This time around, we actually watched one Avengers movie every single night together as a family. So I feel like I'm completely caught up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Little things like that, but it's doing it together with not a lot of pressure, but being intentional. That to me is vacation. And I have to admit, this wasn't the case maybe about 10 years ago.
Yeah. I think that's important for families to do that, to be intentional about spending time. And people say, "Well, you know what? My teenagers don't want to go on vacations with us. They find it boring to be with us." Well, that's the whole point. That you are, in a way, forcing to get away together, because you're still a family. Whether or not they want to be with you, you are still a family together, and it's worth investing in that time to be together. And yes, I read somewhere that when you go on vacation with your teens who don't go with you, it takes a few days for them to warm up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of the vacation, or fifth, sixth, seventh day, they're starting to enjoy it. So it does take sort of that getting out of your mode, of out of that mentality that I don't want to spend time with my parents, whatever it is. But you realize these are the people ultimately that you love, and these are your family. So it's worth that investing of the time.
That's a good point. And I think that's why when we're on vacation, we actually have to be more intentional about making time for each other and sharing meals together and sharing just life with each other and details and observations and random stories and anecdotes more than usual, because it doesn't happen naturally sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's easy to be in the same place physically, but it is not always easy to share in the same space relationally and emotionally. And so what you said is so true. I think it took a few days for us to feel like we're settled in, which then, if you think about it, if you plan for these quickie vacations that are a couple of days, maybe it doesn't get you there. But if you set aside enough time, you have to keep trying still. You have to keep making an effort to eat together, to put away your gadgets, to try to go to bed at a reasonable time, to try to get up to plan something together. And it's not about being rigid or structured for the sake of it, but sometimes we do have to see it as a discipline for the whole family. And we as parents then are the primary disciple makers in setting that pattern and that schedule and those priorities for our kids.
And a lot of things about family life, from when your children are young to when they're old, so much of it is perseverance. You are the family together, whether you like it or not. So let's persevere together and keep trying, like you said. Keep persevering. Hey, even just having family meals together at night. Oh, my teens don't want to have dinner with us. They're always on the phone. Persevere. Try once a week and say no phones at the dinner table. And then next time, keep persevering. Oh, they don't like it. Well, keep persevering. Persevere. Keep trying. And it's worth the investment.
Now, for your vacation, what are some things that you are looking forward to?
Well, one of the things I do like is being out of the city. I mean, I don't need to go far. I love the beach, which I'm kind of envious of. Maybe we should have gone to the beach instead of we're planning to go to the mountains. I don't love the mountains. But, I just like even taking a walk after dinner with my husband. We walk and I just look at the sky, and it just refreshes me to be that much closer to God, in the sense that you look at his creation, that only he can do, only he can make those trees, only he can make the sky. And this just automatically puts my mind in more of a relaxed view of God, and having him speak to me about his sovereignty, about his love. And so that's what I kind of look forward to, just being out. We're going to Mammoth. And I'll tell you about that when I come back, and how it is if it's too crowded, people wearing masks, so that's what I kind of worry about. So we're going to be wearing masks. So I'm kind of looking forward to being in the nature part of it and spending time with my family, of course, and those relationships which we don't get as often as you would, PT, in your family. When your children are young, you're together. But now my children are older in a way, and then the grandkids. Now we get some concentrated time together. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. We're going to play some board games, that kind of thing.
I like what you said about even taking everyday walks. That's the kind of rhythm that we need if we're serious about taking rest, and if we're serious about just spending quality time. Sometimes there's that saying that, oh, it's not quantity time, it's quality time. I think it's both, in that we need to seize the opportunities, even the little ones that we have, to make time in our marriages, to make time for our children. It could just be walks every day. That's time. And the more of that happens, the better off you are. But then sometimes we need to make time for the bigger things too, the quality trips and the quality moments. And the two of those work together, in that both the quantity and the quality strengthens the bonds and prioritizes your family as a unit.
Well, you know what, PT? I think you summarized it so well. I think it's time to end our our episode here today. And that is what we want to encourage everyone with, to be intentional in building relationship. It is summer vacation. And take time, not just even if you cannot get away for a few days, which is understandable, but also just taking the intention of taking a walk, going to the park, enjoying the sky and the moon and we live in the suburbs. We're so blessed to see grass and trees. So I just want to encourage the families to do that. Okay. All right. Leave us in the comments about any vacations that you are taking or have taken, or even just daily moments of rest and Sabbath that you and your family enjoy doing together. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, tell us about your July 4th plans. We'd love to know.
Beaches are closed, so don't show that picture on July 4th.
This might be the closest I get to the beach.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.